Hi, this is Mel with the MEL show on melpines.tv. Allow me to take you back in time. The year was 1878. President Rutherford Hayes declared the dusty road that curved through Lincoln, New Mexico as the most dangerous street in America. And later on, it gave birth to the legend of Billy the Kid.
Lincoln County grew in these tumultuous years with Texas settlements to the east at Seven Rivers and Roswell, the Hispanic towns of San Patricio in the Ruidoso Valley and Tularosa on the western slope of the Sierra Blanca. But it was to Lincoln, perfectly situated between Fort Stanton and the New Mescalero Reservation, that commerce flowed. The center of this commerce was the two-story Murphy Dolan General Store, known simply as The House. The store was owned by three Irishmen, L.G. Murphy, John Riley, and Jimmy Dolan. They were well connected with political power based in Santa Fe. L.G. Murphy, an Army veteran of the Civil War, had acquired the post-tradership at Fort Stanton. Their warm relationship with officers of the fort ensured their prosperity. With the establishment of the Mescalero Agency, their store in Lincoln also prospered, so that they soon controlled the entire economy of Lincoln County. The house prospered by fixing prices on what it bought and sold to locals, by purchasing cut-rate cattle from outlaws and selling that at inflated weights to the Indian Agency, and by offering loans to local farmers and then promptly foreclosing. In the barter economy of the day, the books of the house were the currency of the land. The sheriff and the local court answered to the house. The young Englishman, John Henry Tunstall, arrived in Lincoln in the autumn of 1876. His Harris tweed jacket did not fit comfortably with the style of Lincoln, nor did his desire to set himself as the new overlord of the region. Tunstall partners with Scottish lawyer Alexander McSween, who had come to Lincoln in March 1875 with his elegant wife Susan, and set up a law practice. McSween urges Tunstall to open a mercantile store in Lincoln to challenge the house. The Tunstall store opens in August 1877, just down the street from the house. The building also houses McSween's law offices, as well as the new Lincoln County Bank. A third partner in this scheme is John Chisholm, nominal president of the new bank, who allies himself with Tunstall and McSween in hopes of seizing the beef contracts at Fort Stanton and the Mescalero Agency from Murphy. He urges Tunstall to establish his own ranch south of Lincoln. A savvy young rancher named Dick Brewer signs on as foreman of Tunstall's spread on the Rio Feliz. He hires a tough crew of cowboys for the ranch, for skill with a pistol is just as important as skill with a lariat. Henry McCarty, also known as Henry Antrim, aka Kid Antrim. William H. Bonney, also known as the Kid, also known as Billy the Kid, was one of these cowboys. His origins remain shrouded in mystery. Some say he came from the Irish slums of New York City, while others claim Indiana as his place of birth. He reached Santa Fe in 1873 with his widowed mother, Catherine McCarty, and her new husband, William Antrim. They followed the mining frontier to Silver City, where Billy at age 14 was orphaned by the 1874 death of his mother. Antrim abandoned the boy, who fell in with bad company. Arrested for petty theft, he escaped from the Silver City jail and lit out for Arizona. The boy, tough, smart, and charming, found work around Camp Grant, but in August 1877, shot a man in a saloon brawl and fled back to New Mexico. He soon joined Jesse Evans' gang of rustlers. He now took the alias William H. Bonney, although everyone just called him the Kid. Dick Brewer meets Billy at Seven Rivers and persuades him to leave the Evans gang. who had joined up with Murphy, and higher on with Tunstall. Tunstall's days are numbered, for he underestimates the ruthlessness of his rivals. He thought the law would protect him, but the House owned the law in Lincoln County. Sheriff William Brady now moved to attach Tunstall's cattle herd on trumped-up lawsuit writs engineered by Murphy and Dolan. On February 18, 1878, several members of Brady's posse, including the deputized outlaws, Jesse Evans and Frank Baker, come upon Tunstall on a mountain trail above the Redoso. They promptly murder him. The killing of the Englishman begins the Lincoln County War. Billy the Kid swears to exact vengeance over Tunstall's body. But when he and other Tunstall cowboys reach Lincoln, McSween urges them to use the law. Dick Brewer is sworn in by Justice of the Peace John Wilson as a special constable, with Billy and a dozen cowboys as his deputies. They call themselves the Regulators. And so it began, with both sides claiming that the law was behind them. On one side was Sheriff Brady, backed by the district judge and district attorney, with dozens of Murphy Dolan gunmen serving as his deputies. On the other side rode the Regulators, carrying legal arrest warrants issued by the local justice of the peace court. Before both posses are finished, scores of men will die. Within weeks, the Regulators killed 3 of Brady's men, including Frank Baker, in the Capitan foothills. But they are after bigger game. On the night of March 31st, Billy and 6 other Regulators bunk in Tunstall's store. The Sheriff Brady and 4 deputies make their morning rounds on April 1st. Billy and his companions unleash a volley from the low wall next to the store, killing Brady and Deputy George Hinman and scattering the others. They then mount right out of Lincoln. The Regulators ride west to Blazer's Mill on the Mescalero Reservation, where they stop for a meal on April 4th. Buckshot Roberts, a member of Brady's posse, blunders onto the scene, and a gunfight ensues. Mortally wounded, Roberts still manages to wound 4 Regulators and kill Dick Brewer. As Roberts lay dying, Billy leads his companions away from Blazer's Mill and back to Lincoln. On Sunday evening, July 14, 1878, Billy and McSween lead 40 heavily armed men into Lincoln. They quickly barricade McSween's house. McSween's men occupy Tunstall's store and the Montano and Ellis stores, while Jimmy Dolan and his new sheriff, George Pepin, along with dozens of hired guns, occupy the Murphy Dolan store, the Workley Hotel, the Torreon, and the hills above town. Gunfire quickly erupts. Just before noon on July 19th, Colonel Nathan Dudley arrives with a dozen of his Buffalo soldiers, 24 infantrymen, and a 12-pound howitzer and a Gatling gun. Abandoning any sense of neutrality, he promptly aims his howitzer at the Montano and Ellis stores. Now sets fire to McSween's house, and the tide turns decidedly in Dolan's favor. The house slowly burns, room to room. McSween collapses in despair. Guns blazing, Billy leads his companions in a breakout to the Rio Benito and the hills beyond. McSween is not so lucky. Attempting to surrender, he's shot down 5 of his men. A report on the Lincoln County War from federal agent Frank Angle leads President Rutherford B. Hayes to replace the corrupt governor Axtell with Civil War hero General Lew Wallace. He arrives in Santa Fe on September 29th, and on November 13, 1878, declares a general amnesty for all participants in the Lincoln County War. February 18, 1879, Billy the Kid and several companions arrive in Lincoln for a treaty meeting with Jimmy Dolan and Jesse Evans. After reaching a tenuous peace settlement, they stagger from saloon to cement the deal.
Between bars on the streets of Lincoln, they run into, of all people, Houston Chapman, Mrs. McSween's lawyer, who has been doing everything he can to put Dolan away and to get Dudley court-martialed.
Dolan and one of his henchmen probably shoot Chapman at such close range that his clothes are set afire. Billy slips away, only realizing nothing has changed in Lincoln. The killing of Chapman brings Governor Wallace to Lincoln. He orders the arrest of Dolan, Evans, and others involved in the Chapman murder. He also seeks out Billy the Kid to help him convict the killers. A meeting between the governor and the outlaw youth is arranged at Squire Wilson's house in Lincoln on March 17th. At 9 that evening, Winchester rifle in one hand, revolver in the other, Billy enters the house and meets the governor. Wallace needs the kid's testimony and so offers him a bargain. Billy, despite the amnesty, has been indicted for the murder of Sheriff Brady, and so finds Wallace's bargain agreeable. He submits to a fake arrest and is placed in Juan Patron's house for safekeeping. Billy testified against Dolan, but the deal unravels when Territorial District Attorney William Reinerson, the Dolan man, refuses to prosecute his friend. Billy, seeing that Wallace cannot be trusted, rides out of Lincoln. He and his pals take up cattle rustling to make ends meet. They prey on Texas panhandle herds for the most part, but John Chisholm's cows are a favorite target as well. Chisholm talks Pat Garrett, ex-buffalo hunter, cowboy, and tough character, into running for sheriff of Lincoln County with the sole purpose of cleaning out the rustlers. Elected sheriff of Lincoln County in November 1880, Garrett is determined to bring in Billy the Kid. Newspapers in Santa Fe and Las Vegas report wild tales of Billy's crimes, and in response, Governor Wallace posts a $500 reward on his head. Garrett lays an ambush for Billy at Fort Sumner, and when the kid and his companions ride out of the snowstorm into the town, he kills Tom O'Phalliard. Pursuing the outlaws to nearby Stinking Springs, he then kills Charlie Beaudry and captures the kid, Billy Wilson, and Dave Rudabaugh. Billy is prosecuted for the murder of Sheriff Brady and quickly convicted by a Mesilla jury. The judge sentenced him to hang on May 13th. Garrett confines him in the old Murphy Dolan store, now converted into the county jail. Garrett kept Billy separate from the other prisoners. He's chained to the floor of an upstairs room and guarded by Garrett and his deputies, Bob Ollinger and J.W. Bell.
We reached the top of that Torion, and this little opening is where they put the rifles to place it right here and shoot the Indians. This was also all occupied by the Murphy-Dolan faction during the Lincoln County War, and Billy the Kid was under siege from this location. Billy the Kid's point of view when he shot Sheriff Brady. After a jury found Billy the Kid guilty of murder, he was sentenced to hang by the neck until dead and returned to Lincoln to await punishment. Billy was held in this room with only a cot and a small card table. Multiple accounts state that Billy spent large parts of his days sitting at a table and playing cards with one of his jailers, J.W. Bell. This friendship would not last, however, as Billy would eventually murder Bell during his courthouse escape on April 28, 1881. body of Ignacio Salazar, one of the regulators who rode with Billy the Kid. They were engaged in a 5-day gunfight against the Dolan faction. They were trapped at McSween's house. Billy the Kid escaped. Ignacio was shot and wounded, faked his death and crawled half a mile to his sister's house and was treated by a Fort Stanton doctor.
Comes with a kiss, eternal bliss.